As many of you know, I am a proponent of Dr. Sean O'Mara and his practices with the living carnivore diet. And let's watch this video really quick with RFK Jr. Talking about the protocols that Dr. Sean O'Mara put him on.
My heart was covered with visceral fat.
Wow.
My liver was covered with visceral fat. All of my viscera was covered with it. And he said, if you don't already have atrial fibrillations, you're going to have them. And I had had atrial fibrillations every day for 4 months. And he told me a lot of other bad stuff that was going to happen to me. So he said, I can get rid of it all within 90 days. And he said, you do this diet. So I did the diet for 30 days, and I did another full body MRI, and my visceral fat had gone down by 40%.
Wow.
In just 30 days. I also lost 20 pounds, which I didn't want to lose, but I lost a lot. And I was actually worried about the amount of weight I was losing. He said, don't worry. It's all the interstitial visceral fat in your muscles that you're losing, and then your muscles will come back. And that's what happened. I regained all that 20 pounds back in muscle. My atrial fibrillations completely disappeared. And I haven't even had a skipped heartbeat since then.
Okay, so, this is really what I've been talking about a little bit here and there, where I've talked about doing fermented foods, how I added fermented foods into my diet, how I've been looking at sprinting and stuff like that. So Dr. Sean O'Mara has been doing this for, I think it's 13 years. And he's been doing MRI scans and so forth. And he shows people the amount of visceral fat that they have wrapped around their heart and other organs and, organs inside their body and so forth, inside their muscles, like in here, you've got muscle, right? And depending on how you've been eating, you've probably got visceral fat wrapped inside that muscle. And what RFK Jr. is talking about is not just a one person thing. Again, Dr. Sean O'Mara has been doing this for 13 years. He's had thousands of clients that he has put through with this. There is another video out there where Dr. Sean O'Mara talks about how much fat is around the heart of every single client that he has ever taken on when he does their first MRI. And it's incredible, the amount of fat around the heart. And typically within 90 days, there's a big difference. He says that within 6 months, normally it is pretty much completely gone with his protocols. If you kind of follow things, but you're not necessarily fully using his protocols, you can probably see it happen within a year or two. So that's kind of, something that I have been doing, is getting more and more into his protocols and following him more. I haven't done the MRI scan at this point, but along with having done carnivore for so long and now doing more of adding in the fermented foods for the gut and, doing the sprinting, I've been doing push-ups, stuff like that, some really good high intensity activity. I've added in fasting, where I do a 48 or 72 hour fast the last couple of weeks. I've incorporated it where I'm doing one of those fasts every week. Before that, I was just hit or miss with doing some fasts here and there. So I'm getting more strict with doing that. And, one thing I can say is that I definitely notice a difference in just how I feel. I just feel better. I seem happier. I noticed the other day I was in a couple meetings with work, and I noticed, like myself, just on camera, that because you can see yourself on the camera, that I was smiling a lot. And there were people that were like, man, you seem like in such a good mood, Brian. And that's true. Like, I have been in a better mood. I've been happier, smiling and so forth over the last couple of weeks. So I've definitely noticed that difference. I've noticed the ability to build some muscle fairly quickly with the sprinting and push-ups that I've done. And I feel like I am not getting quite as out of breath as what I was already really quickly. I've been doing only about maybe twice a week the sprints, and maybe 3 times a week push-ups. I do the push-ups usually with the sprints on the days that I am doing sprints. And then there's usually a third day that I'm doing push ups. I'm talking like 10 to 15 minutes of a workout when I do a workout. It's not that much, but it's high intensity going at it pretty good for a good period of time there. A sprint might be a 10-20 second sprint, something like that. Maybe 20 yards or something, okay? Whatever it is. And I'll sprint and then I'll rest a little bit and I'll do another sprint, that type of thing. So it's not like it's the full 10-15 minutes you're just doing heavy activity. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. And I'm really noticing a difference. I'm noticing a difference in fat in my stomach. They're like the sides of my stomach are starting to go in where I've had a little bit of belly fat still left that I need to lose. So I think that as I'm losing that visceral fat, I'm also losing some of the extra subcutaneous fat that is out there, because visceral fat is deep inside, right? And you don't necessarily be able to see that. But those are the things that are happening, and this is legitimate. I think that there's more and more people that are talking about this on social media right now because of RFK Jr. I think this is a really good thing. It's going to get people, looking at the carnivore diet and interested in the carnivore diet, first of all. And it's going to get people thinking more about their gut and fermented foods. And, I don't think RFK Jr. talked about sprinting or anything like that. But if they start looking up Dr. Sean O'Mara, they're going to start seeing more info about sprinting and so forth. And I think high intensity activity, whether it's sprinting, whether it's push ups, pull ups, whatever, I think those things are really going to be very beneficial for people. And I think we're going to see more people looking at that, and it's going to help the carnivore movement as well. So I'm going to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this whole thing. If you're into fermented foods or not, and what do you think about like high intensity activity and so forth. For me, the thought with the high intensity activity is that it's going to help me to keep from becoming that older person that is not really doing activity and is having trouble getting out of a chair because they're sore, right? I don't have trouble getting out of the chair, especially in the last couple of weeks. Like I bounce up and I'm like, wow, I don't feel any issues at all. And like, I don't even feel tired. I'm like, boom, let's go. I tend to go quickly up the steps, run up the steps, where I used to just walk up the steps. So different things like that. But I'd like to hear from you too on what your thoughts are about all this.